I didn't think the jokes they were making were landing. Maybe my humor's changed or something, but I really felt like it was objectively less funny. I didn't think it was opinion on that. I was sitting there, every joke they make, I was like, what is going on? Like, why is this supposed to... So I know they want me to laugh here, and I'm not.
Zoom in on Ryan. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I thought the best parts of the movie were all the sad, serious parts.
Very interesting.
Like, I felt really bad for Bart.
Yeah.
I thought it was touching that Ned was being a father figure to him. I thought there was zero payoff to why he went back to being with Homer. Like, Homer didn't earn that.
I'll let you hold the bomb.
The man knows me.
I was like feeling like emotional for Marge. Maybe I was having a weird day. I don't know. But my favorite parts were all these like emotional, sad things because I thought those worked. Like I felt really bad for Bart. I thought Homer was a piece of shit. Like even though he's funny in the TV show, it's funny that he's a piece of shit. It wasn't funny in this movie.
If I didn't have this gun, the King of England could just walk in here anytime he wants and start shoving you around. You want that? Huh? Do you?
No.
Making stuff is hard, especially in the entertainment world when there are millions of dollars on the line. And we are going to talk about these disastrous, never-ending, and sometimes dangerous productions. This is The Shit Show.
Hello, friends. Welcome to It Was a Shit Show. I am Ian, joined by Clint.
Hello.
And Ray.
Hello.
And today's guest, Ryan.
Hey.
Ryan is the creator / cartoonist of Channelate, and you might also have heard his name at the end of every episode because he made our theme, the Shit Show's theme.
Yeah, Ryan's technically been the unheard fourth member of Shit Show from the beginning. I mean, well, they're heard, but like not your voice.
So with the success of my Emperor's New Groove video, and then I saw a bunch of comments on our Shrek and Osmosis Jones podcast episodes, a lot of people wanted us to cover more animated films. And I figured if we do that, we should have Ryan on here as someone who animates daily, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you'd have a unique perspective on this whole subject. So, as of recording, 2 days ago was the 15th anniversary of today's film, The Simpsons Movie.
Wait, before we continue, sorry, we did not talk about what Clint is wearing.
Clint, what are you wearing?
Well, so as a part of Clint's collection, I am wearing my Mr. Sparkle t-shirt, but this is only one of 3 items because the other thing that I'm wearing are my Simpsons underwear.
We got
There's
see
always underwear. Oh my god. Oh no, guys, here it comes.
While Clint prepares to show us his underwear, if you would like to see Clint's collection, you can find that on Instagram. We won't post the underwear,
we have
though.
to show a picture of his ass or your crotch.
I'm down for that. I ain't got no shame.
Full ass
and
shot.
The other thing that I brought is my 2000, still in its package.
Holy hell.
Homer Simpson action figure. That they only did these from 2000 to 2004. It's the act, like you put the Intellitronic voice activation. You'd stick it on the play sets and it would like say stuff. And so I got my still in the packaging.
Mint.
Nice.
From 22 years. This
What's
thing.
the back? Let's see the back.
Wow.
Lots of details.
A lot of reading.
Words. So many words on the back of that package.
But so I forgot I was going to show this. And so I was on the phone with Lisa during my lunch hour today. And I was like, oh, I forgot to go grab that toy from storage from the garage up on like the top shelf of this. She's like, oh, I'll go get it. So she goes out there. She gets the ladder. She's on the phone with me the whole time. She's like, you got a lot of shit out here. I got a lot of toys. Clint's collection is everywhere.
Clint's hoarding.
It's like the It's like the what is it? Raiders, the Lost Ark, like end scene storage.
Oh yeah, that's
like
exactly what it is.
Giant warehouse full of crates.
Yep.
Some sad like guy just wandering through it, like gotta put the Simpsons doll back.
The Simpsons movie. How does it feel to you to finally see it as a movie? I mean, after all these years, after 18 years, how does it feel to you to see it in a giant widescreen?
The joke for 18 years has been, when's the movie coming out? We all say next Friday. And finally, We're not lying.
Right.
It really is coming out.
It really is
We
here.
finished it.
Okay, to get us started, everyone, what does The Simpsons mean to you, and who is your favorite character?
I grew up watching The Simpsons, and I think the first at least 10 seasons of The Simpsons are probably just some of the funniest episodes of anything ever created on television or anything. And we record on an old VCR every single episode, every single week. And I would run through those tapes on a daily basis to the point where I can't do this anymore, right? But my brothers would
On
be
your
like,
VHS.
on my VHS, yeah. My brothers would be like, hey, what episode is this? And I was like, oh, that's A Fish Called Selma, season this, episode this. Like I could name it all.
They
and
would quiz you?
My
You
brothers would quiz
nerds.
me, yeah. But like now I'm
When
like,
they
I
beat
have-
the shit out of you.
and I'm like, what an idiot.
Give you purple nurples until
As
you
the-
named all the...
It's a fish called Patty.
Yeah.
No, you idiot.
That's it.
Selma, dumbass.
Right, and as they go and run off, okay, now we're gonna watch Star Wars, and you can't do it, nerd. Fuck you. Yeah, I loved The Simpsons like forever, and there's not a day that goes by where I don't think of a Simpsons quote or a joke that I just laugh at myself to.
Absolutely.
And then when the Simpsons movie came out in 2007, I had just returned home from my LDS religious excursion.
Oh, is that the rebranding? The official rebranding of those? Your
I don't like
religious
to-
excursion?
Because I'm not a part of it anymore. I don't like to like
I know.
give it the same nomenclature. So I'm like, my religious excursion. But yeah, so the Simpsons movie was just about to come out after I got home. And I remember, this is so cool. All these different
Yeah.
7-Elevens are like putting out stuff, not beer, but like they had their energy drink. And then you could get a squishy and all these fun stuff.
What a homecoming.
And the donut.
Yeah, you get the donut. Yeah.
I think I still have the donut.
Yeah, it was rad. I was like, this is cool, and I was like, I can't believe they're gonna make a movie. I thought that was the end, though. I thought as soon as the Simpsons movie was like come out, I just thought that was the end of the series. I mean, because that's what every TV series does. Like Firefly ended, so let's do Serenity, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I thought it was gonna be, but I was wrong because it's still going. And I
15 more years.
I haven't watched an episode, like a new episode of The Simpsons in probably like almost 20 years. I just keep going to the same ones.
Interesting.
I'm sorry, you haven't watched a new episode of The Simpsons in 20 years?
Probably. Yeah.
What the shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Simpsons was something I was very religious about. I never missed the new episodes. Always watched the reruns. And I feel like it was kind of one of the first meme type things I experienced in my life, because my friends and I would quote it, but it was beyond just quoting. We would like incorporate the quotes into regular speech. I'm sure
yeah,
everyone did that,
yeah,
but it was
yeah,
to the point
Mhm.
where you might be saying a phrase that was never in the show, but in the style of one of the jokes.
Yeah.
It's basically like verbal memes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
Mhm.
my fondest memory of The Simpsons is that.
Nice.
And then in 8th grade, South Park came out. And
Your eyes went like total dark at that moment.
Yeah.
I was like, and then
and
this
it changed
happened.
me for I became a man that day.
I know you can love two things at once, but that ended my Simpsons fandom. I stopped quoting The Simpsons. It was all, but Chewy Chomp and all that shit.
There's Simpsons pre South Park and Simpsons post South
yeah,
Park.
yep,
That's
yep.
that's how you measure it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, we're not here to talk about that show, but that is what I haven't really watched it much. I really haven't seen a new episode in 20 years, but
Interesting.
I did watch the movie in preps for this podcast. That was the first time I'd seen it.
That was the first time you'd seen it?
Uh-huh.
Ray, The Simpsons. You weren't allowed to watch it. weren't you?
Well, that's interesting to me that you guys watched it so much as kids, because my parents didn't let me watch it, along with South Park and a few other ones. But I watched it all the time, and then as I got older, I did the whole like Fox 13 Sunday night like lineup where it was just like that, Seinfeld, Family Guy, after a while, like all those shows. But yeah, huge Simpsons fan. Continued like a true fan watching the shows post South Park. You know, I contain multitudes. So yeah, Ian
and a huge fan of South
Park. See, like two things. No, but I mean, we still watch it. Like we still watch all the newest episodes. So we've continued watching it. And my favorite character is Lisa, and I am a Lisa.
Every episode with Lisa, like there's something that Lisa does, and I'm like,
And he's like,
You're
holy
such a
shit, you're
Lisa.
such a
That's
Lisa.
funny.
I did one of those like online like personality test quiz things where it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
which cartoon character are
BuzzFeed.
you?
Obviously.
But it wasn't, it was actually like an actual personality test that they had like mapped
Oh, like the
to.
Myers-Briggs, and then they
Yeah.
tell you what characters.
Yeah. No, really, it
Yeah,
really
I've
was.
seen that,
It was
yeah.
like this really like complicated like personality test that they mapped it to cartoon characters. And
They call it
and
the graining
even,
O'Brien.
exactly. And they even, it was like percentages, like you're this percentage of this cartoon character. Like they gave you like this kind of breakdown. And I'm not kidding you. I came back 100% Lisa Simpson.
Oh my god.
That's
like
awesome.
100%. And I was
That's
just
funny.
like, there it is. There's the proof.
For me, Simpsons such a huge part of my identity, like my sense of humor. I remember lots of times, especially in high school, all the way up to high school, just sitting with my friends, just joking about like Simpsons episodes. There's a portion of it that I fell off, and but then came back, and especially since we've been together, we've watched every episode, and you know a lot of it is completely meh. Yeah, it just kind of washes over you.
They kind of got into this like phase of they're like just kind of dumb, shallow jokes, and they kind of lost some of like the heart and the character a little bit because they've just been like doing it for so fucking long.
Yeah.
That's one thing you can always say about The Simpsons is that there's Homer has redeeming qualities.
Except
that,
in
like-
that fucking movie.
Okay, we'll get to
Yeah.
that. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
But it's definitely
you're not
like
wrong.
he makes up for his mistakes or whatever. Like he tries. But versus like Family Guy, when you go, why the fuck are you even married? Lois, just leave Peter. What the fuck? Like, why would you ever stay
Yeah,
with
leave
this
her for
man?
the family dog who will really treat you right.
Yeah. I would say my favorite character is Gil. I think Gil is
Oh, Gil.
hysterical.
Gil.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gil. Or anything, or Lionel Hutz.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Oh.
anything Phil Hartman.
Hartman,
yeah.
Yeah.
Phil Hartman's characters are great.
Oh, we didn't say our favorite characters.
Oh, that's right.
Probably Troy McClure. Or no, Lionel
Lionel
Hutz.
Hutz.
Care to join me to build a scotch? It's 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, but I haven't slept in days.
I love Mo.
I was gonna say
Mo's
Mo too.
lovely.
Mo was
Yeah.
great.
And then honorable mention would be Ralph Wiggum.
Oh, of course.
I
Yes.
sleep in a drawer.
My favorite quote from the whole show, maybe.
Oh,
Okay, let's get started. Started in 1987 as shorts for the Tracy Ullman Show, based on characters by Matt Groening. He would sketch out the ideas, and 3 animators would do everything else.
Damn.
Literally everything.
This was pencil and paper, not Flash.
back in the day.
Does that make your heart hurt a
Oh
little bit?
yeah.
as an animator, just
3.
like fuck.
And these were only like 3-minute skits. Like,
you and 2 other dudes or 2 other individuals have to sketch and animate a whole 3-minute scene. How much anxiety does that give you?
If it was on pencil and paper, a lot of anxiety. Right?
How long would it take you to do that?
To do that today,
Yeah.
like with computers.
No. Like with the
Oh,
same.
I have no idea. I've never had to do that.
Years.
I did pencil tests in college, and those took forever. Like I did a walk cycle over like 2 weeks. That was like 24 drawings. Not that it would take that long to draw 24 drawings, but to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning
for
motion
sure.
and stuff.
Okay.
You start
Yeah.
out a total dummy.
That sounds like such an elevated like art form.
Yo, I don't understand.
It's like
one of those things where I just don't get how animated, like the amount of animated things there are, like shows and anime and all of that. Like it boggles my mind how many people are doing that for a living, and like how much that is so much goddamn work.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about when I see people editing on film when there are just like bins of like loose like film negative around. I'm like, how are you even keeping all this shit straight? Like, how did you live your life back then? How did anyone make a movie back then?
Yeah, no
Jesus.
shit. One of those animators was David Silverman. Remember that name? Okay, so the first season of the series, it was so popular that they created the series. That started in 1989. And in May of 1991, during the height of Bart Simpson's fever. Remember, it was Bart that was everywhere.
Dude,
Don't
like,
have a
don't
cow,
have a cow
man.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All over your shirts. Yeah.
Do the Bartman.
Yeah.
I had that cassette tape.
So Groening is asked if there would ever be a Simpsons movie. 1991. And he says it would for sure happen, but there were too busy at the time. But in reality, they couldn't. Fox was in the middle of a lawsuit with Tracy Ullman as she was suing them for net profits because the characters were created on her show that she should get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably not wrong.
Yeah.
But she had nothing to do with it. She didn't write for it. She didn't draw any of it.
Was she? I assume she was like a producer on her
Producer.
show,
Oh, yeah,
so she
exactly.
probably
Yeah.
produced
Yeah,
the shorts.
exactly.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So no movie was going to be signed while this shit was going on.
Yeah, the lawsuit.
And, in 1992, Ullman lost the lawsuit. That same year, they're working on the season 4 premiere, Camp Krusty, one of your homework episodes. So the show was developed by Matt Groening, James L. Brooks, who had Oscars and Emmys for everything from Tears of Endearment, Network, and shows like Mary Tyler Moore, stuff like that. So he's a guy that knows how to do TV and film. And Sam Simon, and we'll get to them in a minute. But James Brooks goes about Camp Krusty. He suggests they turn this idea into the film. And this becomes like the first time where they're like, let's push for the film.
Interesting.
But in the early years, they were only 8 writers and 5 directors making 24 episodes a year.
Was it still the same 3 animators? Just those 3 guys?
Just those same 3
They're
guys.
just like, kill me in a dark room.
You're making me draw what?
Picturing a Homer from the movie just like whipping, whoosh, whoosh,
Rest,
animate,
rest.
animate, rest, rest. Why does everything I whip leave me?
So, no. So basically, they were understaffed. Essentially, they were understaffed. There was no way they were going to be able to do a movie, and they were struggling to make Camp Krusty an episode for full length as it was. And so they were like, how the fuck are we going to take, if we can't even get to 22 minutes, how the hell are we going to make it an hour and a half?
Right.
So to extend it, they made the song twice as long as originally intended. The Hail
to thee, Camp Krusty.
By the shores of Big Snake Lake. Though your swings are rusty, we know they'll never break. Louder, faster!
So they kept adding lyrics to it to make it longer so they didn't have to.
Just padding time.
That's funny.
Yes. Which is kind of like one of those things when you notice like the couch gag or, The Simpsons, if it flies through the town and how much of it shows of the original intro,
Oh.
you realize how much of the episode they're just trying to fill time.
Oh, yeah.
Even the most recent episodes, they just go, The Simpsons, and don't even do a couch gag. They go straight into the episode.
Straight into the episode.
really?
Because some of them, they're just like,
They're too
they're
long.
like, it'll fill the whole time.
I would think that trying to find new ways for a couch gag to be much harder than an actual fleshed out episode.
Yeah.
Like after like 30 plus years of this, like
And how do you not repeat? Like, how are
Yeah.
you just
Yes.
like, what about this idea? And they're like, we did that 25 years ago, Jim. Like,
yeah. You weren't even born yet, you dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the idea was that they'd make it when the show ended, which became the joke that never ends, that people still, to this day, make that joke. And we'll talk about this, but like whether or not The Simpsons has run its course or...
I mean, assholes like us keep watching it, I guess. so.
Yeah, right. And as Matt Groening says, they would need a film script worthy of people actually paying to see The Simpsons
Mhm.
because we all grew up on it for free.
For free.
Yeah.
Which is the first joke in the movie.
Yeah, I was going to
where
say,
Homer
there's a
goes,
lot of meta jokes in the movie.
You suckers. Okay, so other ideas they had for the movie that didn't really go anywhere between then, Camp Krusty, till now. They thought of doing a Treehouse of Horror movie.
Oh,
that would have been
cool.
rad, actually.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite episodes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or like an anthology episode, kind of like 43 stories in one or something
Yeah, the
like
Pulp
that.
Fiction parody.
Yeah, it's just like there's tons of different stories.
Yeah.
Like And then
Donuts. I got donuts.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you.
See? Just all these jokes.
One idea was the Simpsons discovered their lives are being filmed for reality TV.
Oh, that's
which
interesting.
Matt Groening said absolutely no. He never wanted the Simpsons to become like self-aware. Simtasia, their parody version of Fantasia. And
I would love that. That sounds amazing.
I don't know what it is, but I would love it.
What? Simpsons and Disney? Yeah. Yeah. Get that and sandwiched together.
Yes.
Then there was a real push by Phil Hartman. He wanted to make a Troy McClure live action film.
Oh my God.
Where he would play Troy McClure.
That is amazing.
And apparently he had a lot of support behind this idea. And they considered using the plot of A Fish Called Selma.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that's why that was part of your homework, which was an episode written by who?
Barth. Jack Barth.
That's right. Grandpa screenwriter.
Barth Watch.
Oh.
Who is he?
Oh.
He listened to our removed actors. episode.
Jack Barth, he wrote one episode of The Simpsons. That's it. And he did a bunch of TV, and he wrote like, I don't remember, 20 to 40 screenplays. And his first sold screenplay was when he was 60-something.
Oh, wow.
And it turned out to be Yesterday, the movie Yesterday.
The one that came out just a couple years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But old grandpa writer wrote arguably the best episode of The Simpsons.
Yes. So
One of my favorites, anyway.
So that was thought of as like the live action. I think that's actually really funny. That's a really creative way of getting around doing a live action Simpsons episode, and then like having them maybe show up for a moment. And then like, can you imagine the Planet of the Apes?
That needs to be made into a real musical.
Oh my God,
yeah. What's wrong with me?
I think you're crazy.
Want a second opinion?
You're all so lazy.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
So good.
I sing those lyrics at least once a week.
Chimpan A to chimpanzee. That's
Yep.
like, that would be in a real Broadway musical.
Oh, absolutely. That's what makes it so good, is that it's just like, yes, I believe this as a musical.
That idea obviously died with Hartman. R.I.P. One reason the movie took so long to come around was producer James L. Brooks wanted a deal where they were not obligated to actually make a movie. Meaning just because they signed contracts, Fox couldn't force them into a release date, which is pretty rare.
So basically a handshake deal.
Yeah, kind of.
One of those lunch deals we're always talking about.
Yeah.
This is James L. Brooks talking about that contract.
It was a tough point for them to swallow, but it was very necessary for us to feel secure as we moved forward. It was an odd contract dispute. We were arguing against a green light.
Like, it's kind of bizarre to be like, I mean, we kind of want to make a movie, but don't let us.
You better not. It's good reverse psychology, actually.
We don't want to, but please, here's more money.
Hey, girl, dump
Truck full of money to my house. I've not made a stone.
20th Century Fox greenlit a movie in 1999, but it wasn't until 2001 when the cast contracts were up and their renewal included an option for a movie. Now, here comes South Park. They were actually really inspired by the South Park movie.
Bigger, longer, and uncut, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that one?
Yes. Remember that one?
That's the one.
They really liked the idea that they were able to tell a story that didn't require previous knowledge of the show, that it stood on its own and was doing its own thing in their own way. For South Park, that was like, let's do all the things that we can't do on television.
Yeah.
Right. So that's when they first actually were able to say they could make it. At the end of 2003 is when they truly sat down to discuss film ideas. So this was actually when they're like, okay, we're going to make a movie. How would we do it? What would we do? And what you were saying is like, we've done, up until the movie's released, they 400 episodes. Like, what idea was out there.
Right, especially movie-worthy ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they always wanted it to be something as big, something really big that they couldn't really do on television, or something like worth actually paying to see, right?
Right.
It's so
right.
weird to hear this after watching that movie.
I agree. I mean, I know we'll probably get into the plot later, but it feels like it was just a long episode. Of
Yeah.
Nothing
The
special.
Simpsons. Yeah.
So, ideas for the official movie once the contracts were signed. Marge becomes a manatee rescuer after leaving Homer because he accidentally rents out their house for a porn shoot.
Oh, so that became that weird
Yes.
motherfucking episode that we watched.
You think I was going to be wrong? That's exactly what I was going to say.
Bonfire of the Manatees was like that was a rejected idea for the movie. So they just
But like that should have also been a rejected idea for an episode. I think like that was just like a
the whole time I'm
very
watching
weird
this, like,
episode.
what the hell is this?
Like it
But
was
there's threads that from the
Yeah.
movie and from this where Homer does something stupid and Marge leaves him.
right
So there's similar like thread.
veins.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. Bart wanting to be less bad and pining for Flanders as a father.
Mm.
Oh, okay, that made it in.
Yeah.
That's one of the best parts of that
I was
movie,
about-
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, I really like that subplot a lot
The part
because
part-
I feel like
the
Ned
part
gets a
in
lot
the
of
tree.
shit in The Simpsons, and Ned's a good dude.
Yeah, like and you can tell from what he's doing, he's just helping him realize that he still needs his real dad, right?
Yep.
But that that part where he makes the
cocoa.
cocoa and he puts it in the window and Bart like
like a little
shuffles towards it like a squirrel.
That's so good. He like toasts the marshmallow on top. It's excellent.
Oakley dokily.
Steven Spielberg is shooting a movie with Tom Hanks in Springfield, and they decide for the movie to blow up the town.
Okay.
That was one of the plot ideas?
One of the plot ideas.
That would have been
wow.
more entertaining.
I'm Tom Hanks. If you see me in public, please.
leave me be.
Yeah. And then both Spielberg and Hanks would play themselves, and Spielberg would be the main villain of the movie.
That's
I
amazing.
love that.
But I mean that kind of kernel of the idea of blowing up Springfield is there.
Right. And Tom Hanks does make an appearance.
Yeah.
So
Groening saw a story about this town that had a real big problem with managing their pig waste. And from that idea, he wanted Homer to adopt a pig. So that's where one of those came from.
Mhm.
And the town being trapped under a dome. This was all like a 2003 idea. Now, keep in mind, this movie came out in 2007. So
they were just throwing these ideas around, like just what about this? What about that? Blah, blah, just like
Yeah.
seeing what sticks.
yes, exactly. So
Apparently, all of it did.
Like,
In
let's
some
remove the
form or-
substance of these ideas.
Yeah, it's stuck in some form or another.
Clint, you will be Mike Scully,
Okay.
former showrunner on The Simpsons.
Story-wise, character-wise, joke-wise, after 400 episodes, we feel like not only have we done it all, we've done it all 3 times. And the audience has been very kind not to notice.
Was he drunk when he did this interview?
That's actually the genius. There's a South Park episode called "The Simpsons Did It First."
yeah.
And the whole premise of that episode is that they're trying to do plots and they're like, fuck, The Simpsons already did it, and it's like, yeah, they've done everything.
Yeah. It's
Simpsons did it. Simpsons
Did it.
Well, it's been really interesting being a huge Bob's Burgers fan now. Like, I love Bob's Burgers. But, like, I'll watch an episode of Bob's Burgers, like, oh, that's just like that one episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally after there are over 700 episodes now, like inevitably some of these plots are going to line up with other plots on every other TV show that
Right.
you watch.
I was going to say, you guys mentioned this Simpsons episode recently where they were lost in the woods. Like,
Yeah.
wasn't that on Bob's Burgers 2 seasons ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an
kinda, yeah.
episode where Bob and Linda get lost in the woods. Yeah,
and,
but they're with
and
the kids.
And an episode of The Simpsons where Bart and Homer get lost in the woods.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really early
Yeah.
season.
I mean, after like millennia of human beings telling stories, there's nothing really that new.
Yeah, I mean, you could draw that line between every other show that we hear watch and don't watch, right?
Yeah.
And to every play, to every Shakespeare, like all that. One of the biggest problems with making this movie was that they were still also making the TV show. So at the same time. So they didn't have like, oh, let's pause and then work on the movie.
Jeez.
I've heard the same thing about South Park, that they were like working double shifts to keep the show going with the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy that these shows would do that.
Yeah, it's just, they wouldn't like take a break or anything. Al Jean, who's been the showrunner for like 2 decades, he was producing the movie and showrunner of the series at this time, and he felt so much responsibility delivering a movie fans had wanted for 2 decades, saying that if he had felt any more pressure, he'd be a diamond.
That's clever. Because I am mostly carbon, get it?
I am a carbon-based life form. I can't even imagine having to make a TV show and a movie at the same time.
24 episodes.
That gives
too.
me heartburn.
And
24 episodes?
24 episodes a year.
Now, kids,
and most Simpsons episodes take 9 months.
I was just about to tell all the 15-year-olds who listen. Before streaming services, where everything is 8 episodes, TV was 24 fucking episodes a season.
Yeah.
And you had to watch them one at a time.
And sometimes they were out of order. And sometimes you were channel flipping and there was a football game on.
And sometimes it was a fucking baseball game.
Yeah, and then your
like,
Simpsons was delayed.
Because they're working on every episode at a time.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's insane.
Ugh.
Yeah. And we'll get into this, but like think about like because it's being animated by hand, they have to have it pretty much locked before they send it off.
Not
right?
that it's like lightning speed difference, but the way they animated The Simpsons in 2007, I don't think they could have done the movie at the same time as the series back in the early 90s when it was all being hand-drawn. Because they did have, even though they still are a hand-drawn show, they're using a lot of computer to help out.
Yes. And
by 2007.
Yeah, and they started digitally filling in ink-wise, like color-wise, in like early 2000. And then they never went back. So everything's still hand-drawn.
Those 3 animators were like, what were we doing before this? They're like, there are 9 of us now. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I've always wondered, do they do the voice acting first and then animate to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's layers to it too, because they do the voice acting. Can I talk about
yes,
this? All right. So they do
No,
the
get
voice
out of
acting first, then they chop it up into like the phrases. And then someone does a storyboard that they make a little rough animatic is what they call it, because it's an animated storyboard. So it's not even like that someone times it up by ear. They then give it to the storyboard artist who times it up with their drawings. And then by the time the animator gets it, they know exactly the pacing it's going to be.
Okay.
The animator doesn't get to make decisions on the timing at that point.
Right.
There was a very interesting episode of Corridor Crew where they were talking about cats don't dance.
My favorite.
And they were talking about how they have to animate to music and how they have to hit beats. Like they have to animate towards that and how difficult that was before computers. Like how the fuck do you time that perfectly? I seriously do not understand how animation like is still done. Like it's so much work. So the cast wasn't handed a script until May of 2005. So they started ideas in 2003, and they never were given a script until then. Then 2006, April 1st weekend, out of nowhere, kind of like seeming like a joke, right? A teaser trailer debuts in theaters, announcing the release date of the Simpsons movie, July 27th, 2007.
In 2007, leaping his way onto the silver screen, the greatest hero in American history.
I forgot what I was supposed to say.
The Simpsons Movie, opening worldwide July 27th, 2007.
Uh-oh, we better get started.
We better get
And that was
started.
not a joke.
That's such a perfect Simpsons teaser and Simpsons joke. Like it's just so just perfect.
And keep in mind, nobody knew that there was a movie being made. Nobody knew. Like, I told you about the scripts or the contracts being signed. Nobody knew this.
Dan Kessel and I was like, "What's this for?"
Yeah,
Sorry, we're doing a what now?
Exactly.
He raps on an episode like, "Oh, Dan, we're gonna need you to just hang around for just a few more minutes. We need you to just
Say
read
these two lines.
Say these 2 lines."
What for? Don't worry about it. So people were in theaters that weekend during I think it was Ice Age Meltdown, and they were all just like, "What the hell? Like that's a thing." So
It's so funny. I think about this, like the Simpsons movie, right? Ice Age Meltdown. All of these are on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
What are you running an ad here?
If you not listened to our podcast,
Disney give us money. Disney.
Yeah, right. So Fox Animation had kept this a secret the whole time. This is Mike Scully about the secrecy.
We've taken script security to the point of lunacy, though it helped that we wrote it in Aramaic.
That's awesome.
So to throw off people, their production trailer had a sign on it. And this ties into my latest video about Arrested Development, which was canceled in favor for the Pamela Anderson bookstore comedy Stacked.
What?
Oh my God! What
I had
are
no
you
idea.
even talking about?
Yes, it was this terrible comedy that lasted only 2 years. Had Christopher Lloyd in it.
I'm sorry, 2 years?
Yeah, exactly.
I
right?
thought you were gonna say 2 episodes.
Did he play Pamela Anderson?
Wait a
And he's
minute.
got rage.
Wait a minute. So, Arrested Development, a beloved show. I know you and I love the show. Ray loves the show.
I love the show.
Ryan loves the show. We all love Arrested Development. It's just another one of those very quotable shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many nuances, very clever. You can watch it again and again and find little jokes.
Mm-hmm.
They canceled Arrested Development for a Pamela Anderson-led show called Stacked, where she's a bookstore owner.
She works at a bookstore.
Oh, well, she doesn't even own it.
She doesn't even own it.
She works at a bookstore. Pamela, it's
It's a double entendre.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But Clint, let me point this out to you. Tits. Does that change your mind?
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
do
yeah.
like them.
I am a fan.
I am a fan.
in the first 10 seasons.
After a while, I just feel like I've just been seeing the same tits over and over again. And that lasted 2 years? That was an actual show?
Yes.
Like I can't
You've
even...
never heard of the show, Ray?
No.
Ryan, have you heard
Never
of
in
the
my
show?
life.
No, but I hear it's on Disney Plus.
Oh God, we gotta go. Sorry, podcast over. We gotta go watch Stacked right now.
Have you ever heard of the show before doing the research for this episode?
Yes, I remember. I remember the ads for it.
He's like, oh, I remember.
Oh, I remember those tits.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was the original working title. Was called Tits.
Yeah.
Big old titties.
Like, listen, you guys, we can't call it tits, okay? We just can't.
We can't call it the D section.
We gotta give us another word, the Dewey Decimal, double D. Whole other meaning.
But yes, when the phone call came in to Mitch Hurwitz, he was told, "Sorry, we want your time slot to go to Stacked."
Was he just like, how about no?
Yeah. So tying back to The Simpsons, they put a sign on their production trailer that said "Stacked Productions."
And they thought that would leave them. Oh, I was just gonna say they thought people would leave them more alone.
What? I heard there were boobs in here.
Tits in this trailer.
Oh my God, the tagline is so stupid. Pamela Anderson stars in a comedy series that proves you can't judge a book by its cover girl.
By its tits.
Oh, come on! That's kind of clever.
All right, fine.
Of course, her character's name is Skylar.
We know you'll watch this.
I can't believe this is a real show. Well, now I just want to go home and watch the rest of
we're
Development.
gonna go.
Okay, Simpsons. The script was only ever titled Yellow Harvest.
That's clever.
Return of the Jedi's
don't get
production title was called Blue Harvest to throw people off.
Oh,
was a
I
New
see, I
Hope.
see, I see.
Oh yeah, New Hope. Sorry, but
Get it right.
Yeah, but I'll be Batman. Fits in my Batmobile.
So Yellow Harvest. So if it ever got out, nobody knew what it was.
Right.
They'd leak plot details to like throw people off
Mm-hmm.
after it was
Actual
announced.
plot details.
They're just, but no,
They
fake
won't
ones.
believe this.
Yeah, but then they started getting worried that any of those ideas that they threw out there sounded better than their actual movie.
Oh, that's
and then they stopped
that's
doing
so
it.
sad.
And then they
Yeah.
do the Simpsons joke where they're all,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This is James L. Brooks about the trailer.
That trailer is running on 7,000 screens this weekend, committing us to opening every place in the world on the same date, which means we'd better get started.
He just kind of repeats the joke.
Yeah.
But there's some truth to this. In that trailer, in the trailer with Stack Productions, they had a digital clock counting down to release date.
Yeah.
Just sitting above their desk as like a constant
Reminder.
a constant reminder and a threat. This is Matt Groening on why it took so long to finally make a movie.
We tried to save this to the end of the series, but that intention was undone by good ratings.
God damn it, we're just too good at making TV.
We're just too damn good.
At this point, they had spent 2 years revising their drafts and had 3 secret cast readings. The script was written by, now I'm not going to explain who everybody is in this. Those who are super fans will know who they are and know what episodes they've written. But this is the who's who's of showrunners, past and present, and writers past and present. Matt Groening, James L. Brooks, Al Jean, Mike Scully, Ian Maxtone Graham, George Meyer, David Merkin, Mike Reese, Matt Selman, John Swartzwelder, and John Vitti.
They were all credited as writers on the script.
Yes.
Wow. I feel like I've seen all of their names on the credits.
Yeah,
like
for
I
sure.
just that's where like those names sound familiar
And
to me.
and some of them have gone on to do tons of other stuff.
One name that's missing, Jack Barth.
Jack Barth.
Barth. I hope he's doing okay.
Right? Barth Watch 2022.
Jack, get in touch. Let us know how you're doing, man.
I would love to talk to Jack Barth.
James L. Brooks said they all agreed that they would never make a movie until they wrote a feature-length script that they all liked and felt right. So all of those people I just mentioned had to all agree that they liked what they were working on.
Oh my God, that sounds like a nightmare.
Right?
That's like too many cooks. That's the definition of too many cooks. In the
Exactly, right? And the film would be directed by David Silverman, one of the original 3 animators.
Finally.
Yeah. So he
gets to unclaw his hand, grab that director's 2x4.
He's directed countless episodes, including the pilot. And he has been the supervising animation director for the whole series. He has directed 20 episodes between 1989 and 2015. Including the pilot, and a supervising director for 53 episodes. So he knows what he's doing, but he left to go to Pixar, and he co-directed Monsters, Inc.
Whoa.
Okay.
And so he was at Pixar with all of them, like, upgrade. And then
he's like, look how many computers they have here to do all this animating.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Blows his mind. What the fuck?
Dream job.
You're not drawing. You're not drawing.
Where's your paper? Where's all the paper?
Yeah, but all the animators, they're like, that's the Simpsons guy. They'll love him.
So he was asked to direct the movie, and he was like, absolutely, like, it's been a dream, right, to do it. But he had a contract with Pixar. So he went to Steve Jobs, the very approachable, very kind Steve Jobs.
You invented the iPhone. I got a question for you.
To tell him he was leaving to go back to Fox. And Jobs was not going to let him do it. And then he was like, but it's for the Simpsons movie. And Steve Jobs was like, Okay. All right. For anything else, like I would have not let you out of your contract.
Yeah.
And,
Oh my God, Jobs had a Simpsons soft spot, a little
Yeah.
known.
like, I mean, that's kind of like crushing a man's dream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like
I
something
want-
Steve Jobs would do on purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, you say the Simpsons movie?
Mm.
Now you extra can't do it.
Now you have to be one of the animators on Good Dinosaur.
He's like, I wanted him to feel woohoo and not a dough.
I'm Steve Jobs.
Buy my iPhone.
Okay. Now, who wasn't involved? There's 3 very important people.
Well, none of us were there.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And we're I would argue, very important.
Brad Bird, director of
Iron Giant.
All
Iron
the
Giant.
lots of
The
movies.
Incredibles.
Incredibles,
Monsieur Incroyable.
Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, there you go.
Brad Bird was an executive consultant for the first 8 seasons. So that was where he kind of got like a big break working on The Simpsons. And he taught the animators camera movements. He basically created the visual language inside The Simpsons.
Interesting.
And he continually pushed the animators to challenge themselves. And he really kind of was the guy that like taught them like, okay, this is
He was the guy holding the whip.
Yeah.
Animate.
He basically taught them like cinema, right? And he loved
Moving
it.
pictures.
Yeah, and he loved the job, but he moved on to do his own stuff. He was approached to direct the movie, but he was finishing up Incredibles, and then he immediately moved on to do Ratatouille to save that film's production, which might be a future episode.
Oh, please.
If he had done the Simpsons movie, like he's the type of dude who wouldn't work with a script he didn't think was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like how long it took for Incredibles 2.
I wonder what the Simpsons movie would have been like.
Superhero family.
That's crazy.
The other person missing is Sam Simon, who you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Simon developed the series with Matt Groening and James L. Brooks. Now, according to multiple people behind the scenes, Sam Simon crafted the series into what it is. He, from its structure to its humor, but he's never gotten the recognition for it through the press or 20th Century Fox.
It's all been Groening.
It's always been Groening. So Groening has always been given credit for creating the characters, right?
Right.
The Simpsons, while Brooks is the award-winning director-producer.
He's the business guy.
Yeah, and he's the one that made it into a show.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Sam Simon, right? Groening is always taking that credit, right? But Sam Simon has kind of been the unsung auteur of The Simpsons. However, he was a very difficult person to work with. And he started clashing with Brooks and Groening at like every turn.
Yeah.
This is Groening on Sam Simon.
It was a pleasant experience for a few months, but then became very contentious. His motto was 13 episodes and out, and he thought the whole thing was going to be a failure. It wouldn't affect him, but my career would be ruined, which is why nobody talks about him anymore. I think Sam Simon is brilliantly funny and one of the smartest writers I've ever worked with, although unpleasant and mentally unbalanced.
Ooh. Damn.
Spitting fire.
The funniest people usually are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that
that's
tortured
true.
genius
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
right?
And I was under the impression that everybody in Hollywood just dealt with asshole torture geniuses because they're like, we don't care if he's abusive to everybody he works with. He makes funny jokes. But like, so that surprises me that they were just like, get this guy fucking out of here.
Well, he didn't leave. He left on his own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They just like hated working together. One of the first episode was written by a woman, and she was not allowed to be in the writing room.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
One of the
He refused to let women into the writing room.
Ugh.
Oh, man.
Blah.
Yeah.
Wait, one of the first writers of one of the first episodes?
Yeah. The very first episode was written by a woman
Of The Simpsons.
of The Simpsons.
Ever of all time.
Yes. The
Santa's-
Christmas.
The Santa's little helper.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Exactly.
No, I'm asking
I
you.
don't have it written down. Sorry.
How dare you? I'm going to look this up right now.
Her
Oh my-
name was Mimi Pond.
Mimi Pond. Thank you, Clint.
You're welcome.
She
She
needs
also
to be-
wrote for Designing Women and Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh.
Hell yeah, Mimi Pond.
Wow.
So Sam Simon left at the end of season 4, citing
Creative
differences.
Too many women on staff.
AKA creative differences.
While also saying that he thought the amount of work wasn't worth the pay. But before he left, he signed a deal with Fox that he would receive a portion of any profits made from The Simpsons. This earned him over $10 million a year.
Holy hell.
Okay, so does that story sound familiar?
I mean, most of Hollywood.
Oh, the Flaming Moe.
Flaming Moe's.
Flaming Moe's.
Oh.
Now you look at that episode very differently. About a
Okay.
man who created something and a guy who took credit for all of it.
Oh.
And made it really big and
Right, right.
sold out.
How do you feel about your precious Mo now, Ryan?
Well, I feel real bad about it.
I was actually going to ask if there was a Flaming Moe in your flask there.
I thought you,
I thought you guys would be mad
thing.
if I started on fire.
I tried to look up a recipe for Flaming Moe's, a Flaming Homer, sorry. And they,
Thank you.
Flaming Simon.
Thank you for
got it,
setting.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you for setting the record straight.
right, yeah. You can get one at Universal Studios Orlando, but it's non-alcoholic. So what's
That's
the point?
even the point.
It's just Robitussin.
So it's just cough
Just
syrup.
cough syrup, yeah. Yep.
With 151 floater. They burn it off.
Literally just. Oh, it's just the brand of cough syrup you can buy at the gift shop. You know.
Yep.
Okay. Who is the other third person here missing? Conan O'Brien.
Conan.
Well, that makes sense.
Why
Wasn't
he
that the
wasn't-
height of his? Wasn't he on the Tonight Show in that
Yeah.
year?
So he was in the middle of.
Yeah, because he had left The Simpsons years
Yeah,
before
wasn't-
that, right?
He wasn't to the Tonight Show yet.
Oh.
But yeah. So like when he was really big, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Clint, be our Conan O'Brien. Why he wasn't involved?
I cleared my talk show schedule for a year at great financial cost to myself, got an apartment right outside the Fox lot, and told them I was ready to report to work. All I heard back was that they were having trouble finding me a parking space, and then they stopped returning my calls altogether. I am stunned and disappointed. Truth be told, I worry that the Simpsons writing portion of my brain has been destroyed after 14 years of talking to Lindsay Lohan and the guy from One Tree Hill. So maybe it's all for the best.
That's great.
Oh, Conan.
I love him.
Amazing.
The guy from One
Tree Hill. It doesn't even say his name. It's not worth mentioning.
It was Chad Michael Murray, right? Isn't that who it is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you are correct.
I looked at you, Ray, because I knew you would know.
I do know, unfortunately.
So, unlike most animated films and the TV show where script is locked, they storyboard, animate, and fix where needed, The Simpsons movie was like a never-ending long-form improv with like
God.
A/B testing.
Ryan just
Every-
like shuddered. Like I just felt that whole body. I just saw a whole body chill move through you.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, listening to your guys' episode about that Jurassic Park movie, like you can kind of do that with live action.
Exactly. Exactly. You were dead on. Every scene in the movie, every scene, plot line, joke, emotional hook was constantly rewritten, improved, or removed.
Interesting.
How far into the process?
A lot.
Goodbye.
What you're saying is like it's very easy to do like a comedy film to just improv some bullshit. Like we've talked
Throw
about
some
like,
new lines in.
Anchorman and Spinal Tap, like they have deleted scenes that equal a movie.
Right.
But that's because you can just continually shoot, right?
Yeah.
But an animated film, that's a lot of fucking work.
This is why animated films don't typically have deleted scenes.
Exactly.
It doesn't exist. There's nothing. There's no cutting room floor for
Yeah,
an
at the
animated
most
movie.
it's going to be like a rough animatic or like a
Yeah.
storyboard with
or some like behind the scenes
Yeah.
technical like here's how we drew these characters and
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
instead, we have on this movie an animator going, I missed my daughter's wedding. You cut it? You cut it?
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
That countdown clock was really intimidating.
I got all
It
these.
was on everybody's
I got all
desk.
these whip marks for nothing.
Her
Everybody-
stepdad walked her down the aisle, which that marriage ended because of this movie.
Because the film used computers over traditional cell style, So this movie is actually done almost entirely in computer. It allowed them to make the movie much faster. But as Al Jean jokes, you could pitch a joke, draw it, and then cut it in a week.
Wow.
Jeez.
Whoa.
For sure, right? They never revealed the plot of the film up until the week of release.
Like to the writers?
They're just like, all right, you write this joke, you write this joke, you write this joke. I swear it will work. I promise you. Just trust
You're
us.
not far off.
Oh my
It's like,
God.
how am I... He talks about a dome. What's the dome?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm drawing a what now, Homer Springfield?
Yeah.
Homer has a pet. Who's it? What?
Yeah. So they never revealed the plot because this allowed them to change anything at will so they wouldn't be stuck with anything.
They didn't want to nail anything down.
Yeah. They held lots of test screenings amounting to about 2,000 different people got to see these like different versions of this movie.
Jeez.
The script was 4 years in the making, and guesses how many times it was revised.
47.
I'm going to say 17.
69.
Nice. 150 times.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
Oh my God, I thought mine was so high. I was like 47. That's
No way.
atrocious.
100, how many?
150. Each writer wrote about 20 pages each, and then they came together to collaborate. And then they constantly just, all those people I mentioned. So anytime I say they, I'm talking about all those people I mentioned.
So
Right.
instead of like the grab bag like
I
up
was
in the air,
just gonna
what it
say.
was more like a Vegas shuffle.
Yeah, right?
I was gonna say, man, they fit a lot of people in that like script page cash grab too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just keep getting in there.
I mean, we're going to go over a lot of this stuff, but like pretty much every scene in the movie, they like listening to the commentary, they were like, the part where they get out of the dome and they're running into the cornfield. They're like, oh, we had a whole sequence of like where they were stuck in the cornfield and Homer starts eating the corn, like blah blah blah, and then like, oh, when they were in the hotel room, they were originally in the car and they were throwing mummies off of the back of the thing, and or like they talk about this stuff, like so much shit that was just tossed out from this movie that
Wow.
is like ridiculous. So the writers like to give credit to Brooks because he was the only person who'd ever made a movie before for the movie actually having a heart.
Uh-huh.
Did he serve as like head writer, like compiling everything?
Not really. Honestly, from what it sounded like, they were kind of all just in it to make sure that they made the best thing, and they kind of thought alike, and then they would just do things over and over again, and they would say that we would revise a joke and animate it 100 times and think it's hysterical, and then the 101 time we go, that was stupid, and we all decide to remove it from the film.
They became a giant hive mind.
Yeah, essentially.
Wow.
The hotel room scene was the most rewritten because they consider it the most important part of the film, which I guess we could talk about right now. I actually think that is the worst part of the film.
Oh, where they're like hiding out from the police 'cause they just got out from the dome, and then yeah.
Because Marge is okay with him basically ruining the town by all this stuff. She forgives him for that, and okay to move to Alaska, but not okay returning. Like I feel like that would the just running from Springfield after destroying it was the bigger problem, the bigger wrong that Homer made.
They were probably trying to bank on the human condition element where they went with him but he wouldn't go with them. But yeah, the stakes were different.
Yeah, for sure. Julie Kavner re-recorded her the Marge's video.
Man, I was like surprised by that. Like, first of all, the movie
really
wasn't funny,
emotional.
but that was like serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I felt really bad for the characters, like in a real way.
Yeah,
like I was like, oh wow, this is real shit.
Yeah.
And then she didn't even sound like Marge for part of it.
Yeah, she sounds destroyed, right? She
Yeah.
sounds sad because she recorded that over 100 times.
Jesus.
Man.
And they said they use like they're constantly they use pieces from all those recordings to
Wow.
just Frankenstein it together to what they wanted. This is Dan Castellaneta, aka Homer, and a whole bunch of other people, Barney, Grandpa, talking about this process.
I felt like a fireman. We should have just lived above the recording studio and put the pole in. I didn't know what stayed in, what went out. I couldn't even follow what the story was. I just knew it was funny.
He had to say that last part, didn't he?
Yeah. He's like, I didn't know what the story was. And then he like looks over and they're all standing there with their 2x4s.
Their whips. Yeah, their 2x4s.
I mean, it was funny.
It was funny. It was
good.
This is Nancy Cartwright, aka Bart, about this whole process.
They'd say, can you come in? We've got a little rewrite. And I'm not kidding. It was down to one word. I was amazed at how many different ways I could say that one word.
Like, because they were constantly modifying.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into all the stuff, the ideas that they had. It was always going to start with Itchy and Scratchy cartoon. The film was originally a musical, but they kept shortening the songs to put in jokes and plot to the point there were only 2 songs left.
You did mention that they were inspired by Bigger, Longer, Uncut.
Exactly.
Which was a musical.
Yeah. And
That's
I mean,
crazy.
And they've always done kind of like their own, songs here and there, right? So one big song was about moving to Alaska that they just cut. And then the other started the film called Springfield Saturday Night, where the whole town gets drunk and is hungover the next day. Their first test screening, they immediately realized that it added nothing to the plot. And so it was cut. Again, animated, voiced, music like they composed, and gone.
Jeez.
Damn. Multiple cameos were cut. Isla Fisher did a voice. I'm not sure who. Minnie Driver was a grief counselor outside the dome trying to cheer up the town about being blown up. That was cut. Erin Brockovich playing herself.
Wow.
Concerned about the potential environmental disaster of the lake. Cut. Edward Norton as the man that gets crushed by the dome. Test audiences were distracted by Edward Norton's spot-on Woody Allen in voice, like his impersonation, that they were just like, wait a minute, is that actually Woody Allen? And then the joke was lost. And so then they redid it with Dan Castellaneta.
Oh, not Mark Ruffalo?
Nice.
Hulk joke.
Hulk joke. My God, that took me the longest. Again, they wrote, voiced, animated a handful of scenes of Springfield life under the dome. Krusty the Clown does a live show to cheer up the kids, but they don't have any power, so a clown show via flashlight proves to be too terrifying for the kids. They wanted the film to work with non-Simpsons fans, so when they switched it to alternate characters, test audiences didn't care like what was going on under the dome. They only wanted to see what was happening with the family, and so they cut like lots of it. The villain was Hank Scorpio from my favorite episode. He only moved twice. The Bond villain.
That would have been cool.
I agree. He was in the script for, guess how long?
2 rewrites of the 150.
I would say like all the way up until what page, like 148. Like rewrite 148, I mean.
I'm just going to go with my same old thing that I did before, 17.
2 days. They started animating.
2 days?
They started putting Hank Scorpio into the movie and decided almost immediately to change directions.
Oh, but why?
Who played Hank Scorpio? I don't remember.
Albert Brooks.
Oh, what the?
Yeah, so
No
Albert
brainer.
Brooks, they were like, Albert Brooks, like, do you want to be part of the movie? And he was like, absolutely. And so they were like, oh, we should have him play these characters. And they're like, why don't we bring back Hank Scorpio? Right. And then they're like, screw it. We need a new character. So Russ Cargill was their new character. And he was first animated as this wimpy, balding man in a sweater. And Albert Brooks' voice work reflected that. To give you an idea, this is what the movie looked like.
Mr. President, Springfield's pollution has reached crisis levels. They're beyond any recorded levels that I've ever seen. And I look at levels all day long. I might not be explaining it well. So, sir, if a normal level is here, the levels that we're talking about are higher than my hand can go. I can make it clearer.
It's a lot of cutting.
He showed me that was one of the deleted scenes, and you could hear it was a little rough in the audio, but otherwise I was like, that's a fully animated scene.
Yeah.
That's finished. That's 100% done scene that they cut out there.
And it doesn't work.
No,
right?
it's not good. Yeah,
It's not good.
well, and that character is the wrong. The visual look of that character is wrong, and so it
Yes.
makes sense that they had to change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ugly Sonic all over again.
yeah. Test audiences found him sluggish and too pathetic, and the writers felt like they didn't give enough character for Brooks to really like play with.
Right.
And that absolutely shows in that scene.
Right.
Like he's so subdued and not interesting or threatening, right? And so they, in 2007, like mid 2007, okay, the movie comes out in July of 2007, mid 2007.
That is mid 2007.
Yes, they gave the current draft to the TV series current writing team to punch up some lines. Joel Cohen, John Frink, Tim Long, and Michael Price, and they rewrote almost all of Russ Cargill's lines.
Jesus.
Including with like some extra like jokes, like punch ups, like they came up with the Trappuccino joke. But they redid all of that. And then they had to update his Cargill's look, and they kind of modeled him after Donald Rumsfeld and made him look a bit older and
More of like
harsher.
an army man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like, he's much more confident and he's serious, right? And Brooks re-recorded everything faster and more confident. Guess how long it took him?
To re-record
All
the
his
whole
lines.
Russ Cargill affair.
I'm gonna say 1 week.
It's been I'm gonna say 2 weeks.
Oh, Price is Right style.
I'm going to say a month.
Whoa. Price is Right at us all.
Or did he? 1 hour.
Oh.
What the shit?
What? Everything Albert Brooks did, you see in the movie, he did in 1 hour.
Oh, sorry. I thought you
Jesus.
meant like all the way to animated.
Oh, sorry. No.
Oh, sorry, dude.
Just literally recording the line.
No,
Just
Ike was under the
re-recording his
table.
line. Sorry. And they were so far along into production that the original design was sent in to tie-in promotions. There is a Burger King toy with that old Russ
cool.
Cargill.
eBay, let's find it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Price
god.
on that.
We got to add to the collection.
It was originally Marge who had the vision in the church, and they voiced, roughly animated, but they found it like too sad that was happening to Marge. Like she was sitting on the floor, writhing in pain.
Yeah,
like you think about Marge versus Abe.
Oh, poor sweet Marge. Yeah, it definitely is funnier with Grandpa when it's
Yeah.
Grandpa Simpson.
So they replaced it with Abe, and then instantly it was funnier, and it made sense for his character. And then it gave Marge her motivations for the whole movie.
Oh yeah, because
right?
she was like the inciting, like driving force of trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Lisa had multiple different boyfriends throughout. One.
Yeah, she did. Lisa always does.
One stayed for a long portion of production. Guess who it was?
Millhouse.
You are correct. It was Millhouse.
Oh.
But test audiences didn't get the irony of that.
Right.
So the jokes didn't work because it was playing too much to the history of
fans
the
of The Simpsons.
the show that the jokes didn't land.
So were these test audiences specifically like they're like, let's find people who've never heard of The
Yes, it's a
Simpsons?
bunch
They're
of
just like
rubes.
out on the street, like, hey, you, do you like The Simpsons? Haven't heard of it. All right, get in here.
I like the Family Guy.
Now, Ryan, saying you didn't like the show, do you think it suffered because of that? Because they were trying to appeal too much to fans or to moviegoers who have
Non-fans?
never seen The Simpsons, who are not fans of The Simpsons?
The movie?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't think the jokes they were making were landing. Maybe my humor's changed or something, but I really felt like it was objectively less funny. I didn't think it was opinion on that. Like I thought they were just like nothing
not
was
funny
landing
jokes.
for me.
Interesting.
Like I still can go watch old episodes. Well, I haven't in a while, but I'm sure that I could go watch an old episode and still laugh at it. But like I was sitting there, every joke they make, I was like, what is going on? Like, why is this supposed to? So I know they want me to laugh here, and I'm not.
Zoom in on Ryan.
It's like,
hello, darkness,
my
my
old
old friend.
I thought the best parts of the movie were all the sad, serious parts.
Very interesting.
Like, I felt really bad for Bart.
Yeah.
I thought it was touching that that Ned was being a father figure to him. I thought there was zero payoff to why he went back to being with Homer. Like, Homer didn't earn that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like feeling like emotional for Marge. Maybe I was having a weird day. I don't know. But my favorite parts were all these like emotional, sad things because I thought those worked. Like, I felt really bad for Bart. I thought Homer was a piece of shit. Like, even though he's funny in the TV show, it's funny that he's a piece of shit. It wasn't funny in this movie.
No, I think that it's interesting that the inherent heart of the movie was working for you.
Yeah.
Like, the emotional weight was what you were actually invested in, which is very, very interesting. So they realized, like, they didn't want to make a movie just for superfans. So they realized they couldn't be self-referential like the whole time. And so anytime they did callbacks to the series or had surprise returning characters, test audiences only chuckled. And so they cut those too, because they wanted everything to work.
Right.
One of their favorite jokes was the church-going folk running into Moe's, and then the bar flies running into the church.
Yeah.
But test screenings never laughed.
Well, because they they wouldn't have known that was a bar. Was there even a scene in Moe's in the whole movie?
I guess when they ransacked Moe's.
Yeah.
But that was one of those things where they tweaked it, and they said that was one they were just like, screw it, we like this.
Just leave it in.
Just leave it in.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, I wish I could watch this movie having never seen or heard of The Simpsons or not. Or
like,
just
erase
only
your memory. Yeah.
Yeah, like erase it from my brain. I mean, not forever, but just like, because I honestly don't know like how the hell you could watch that movie and not have any attachment or connection.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Just like, what lunatic is going to go see the Simpsons movie that has never even heard of, not watched the Simpsons?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of one of those things where you think about like some people who grew up watching the prequels to Star Wars first.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What?
Those monsters.
Like kids who grew up with the Simpsons movie first. Like, what? Like, that's, for some people, that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Weird. God, we're old and jaded.
We are so old.
So after their March 2007 screening, the writers realized they didn't have a scene of Marge and Lisa together. And
they're like, women.
All the way to March
Bechdel
2007.
test.
I was actually just about to look it up to see if it passes the Bechdel test.
No, it obviously doesn't, because
there's only one scene and they talk about Colin.
Yeah, they talk about her boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so David Merkin came up with the idea of discussing her new boo. And when they come home and find the hoof prints on the ceiling, and Homer currently doing it, they all laughed, and Al Jean said, "The Amazing Spider Pig." And then David Silverman and David Merkin on the spot came up with the song. Spider Pig, Spider Pig. Like, they did that, just messing around.
Yeah.
And they just, like, that was just, again, them improvising. It was like, okay, it's in the movie now, right? But, again, it was only the three of them that really kind of came up with that joke. But if you look at the credits, all of those writers get the credit to the song. And this is what I was kind of referencing before. January, you will be our David Silverman. Why everybody got credit?
Our feeling is that everyone as a group in the room wrote it, but because it came from the room's energy, that everybody should get credit.
Hive mind.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right? So they're all kind of giving each other credit for all of this.
Right.
Which is actually kind of admirable.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, that harkens back to actual improvisational comedy.
Making each other look good.
Yeah.
Oh, they were all yes-anding each other?
Yeah, they yes-anded each other.
See, there are some things you get out of improv.
Low bar. Really low bar.
Hans Zimmer recorded the choir version of the Spider Pig song just for fun.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Hans.
Simpsons geeks will wonder why it was Hans Zimmer over Alf Clausen, who's done the music since the series and was actually fired recently. But anyway, and the only thing he said when asked this question was, "Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug."
What?
Okay.
Wait, Alf said that?
Yeah.
That's a thinker. I'm gonna have to think about that
Yeah.
one. Is that like
I think
some
it's like
German,
sometimes you're
is
the
that some like German
snow
euphemism?
and sometimes you're the plow. I don't know. Anyway,
That's deep. Is this a German thing?
I
Is this
don't
like your
know.
ancestral
I don't know.
heritage? Like weird, like German folk euphemisms?
Sometimes you're the Wiener, sometimes you're the Schnitzel.
Bart skateboarding naked was one of their earliest ideas.
That's so funny.
They assumed the MPAA would hit them with an R rating for the penis reveal, but they were never asked to revise anything.
Oh my God.
But how do you decide on what size of penis Bart should have? David Silverman?
I don't. Okay, I guess we're gonna find out. The idea was to make it of a certain size that seemed funny, not making it colossally large like flapping in the wind, although it was rendered that way as a joke. It's about the right size that, oh, that looks funny, especially as we reveal it. It's like, oop, there it is. People say, what was your yardstick of what size to make it? It's whatever seemed to make us laugh the most.
They realize that they're animating a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Right?
All 10 of those writers are all around the computer.
Looking
okay,
at
smaller.
different sizes
no,
of
a bit
dick.
bigger. No, a little bit smaller. A little bit bigger. Funny now? Great. The hive mind says it's funny now.
The hive mind has agreed.
Oh, mighty hive mind. How big of a wiener should we put on this 10-year-old boy?
10-year-old cartoon.
Sideshow Bob was initially in the mob scene shouting, "Kill Bart," when they were all saying, "Kill Homer, kill Homer."
See,
That
that
would've
is
been
so
awesome.
fucking funny. But they're like, no, but the normals don't get it.
Yeah, exactly, right?
But it's
the normies.
But who gives a shit?
So they're
Put it in there
all
for the
saying,
fans.
"Kill Homer," and he goes, "Kill Bart," and they're like, "No. We're saying we want to kill Homer," and he gets disappointed and walks away.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's a good joke.
There's the three things I think about this movie that, like, they're in the movie because they couldn't put it in the TV show. And I think of A is one was Bart skateboarding naked. The other one is when Homer's escaping, he flips them all off. Like, I love that bit. And then the other one is at the end when Marge yells at him through the bowl, like, "Throw the goddamn ball!"
Yeah.
Oh, that moment is excellent.
Yeah.
Somebody throw the goddamn
They talked a
bomb.
lot about whether or not they should have Marge swear, and they had her do it like as God, like dang it,
Absolutely.
like dang, throw the dang bomb, and they were just like, no, it's way funnier if it comes out of Marge. Like,
It's a real Data oh shit moment.
Yeah.
yeah,
And it felt earned because the town was about to explode. There was no time for shenanigans.
Yeah.
The mob scene required 3,600 drawings.
Jesus.
The biggest in the film.
Ryan, do that right now.
They had
With paper and pencil.
Yeah.
No, put that laptop away.
they had a constant problem with Bart's relationship with Flanders, where the simplest action would come off creepy. Again, they're playing this to the rubes, and they're like, how many times should he pat Bart on the back before it's like,
Right.
oh, he's a creep.
Oh,
right?
that's too. Yeah.
Originally, when they get out of the dome in the movie, it's Lisa and Colin having a moment, but originally it was Bart and Flanders having a moment.
Yeah.
And Bart put his butt up against the glass and it made a heart shape.
Oh my God.
And then they were like, "Ooh, this doesn't work. This
No.
is creepy."
I mean, Bart puts his butt on stuff all the time, but yeah, in that context, it's weird.
Yeah.
I feel like they found a good balance because, like you said, the Flanders Bart stuff felt very like sweet and sincere and like ah, and not like ooh.
Right.
I never felt like he was like pervy neighbor territory.
So their biggest balancing act throughout was keeping Homer likable. And I will kind of agree with you. I don't know if it's the old age, but Homer does some stuff in there where you're just like, "Da fuck, man."
Yeah.
Like I agree. Since I remember seeing the movie, and I was like, "Why the fuck did Marge go with the going to Alaska bit?"
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like he had done something more horrible than not wanting to go back.
Right.
Like that was the point where I was like, "What the fuck? Like, why would you go with Homer on that?"
I feel like he was riding on the goodwill of the show. Like as a fan of The Simpsons, I was just like, like Homer's being pretty atrocious in this movie, but like he's good. He's got a good heart. Like he's good deep down. But like, yeah, there were never any like tender moments really with like Bart. Like the redeeming thing of how he gets Bart to go with him is like, I'll let you hold the bomb.
Well,
like,
okay, to be fair, they do set that up in the beginning where they're just like fucking around on the roof.
That's true.
I dare you to climb the TV antenna.
Piece of cake.
And they just like love fucking around with each other.
Yeah, that part was actually pretty funny.
But to your point, like
Yeah.
in the series, like especially in the first handful of seasons, there are like a lot of Homer fucking up but really having heart and feeling bad. And this was like, even when he felt bad, he was being the dumbest version of not getting the point.
Right.
Yeah,
Where it was like, I don't believe I didn't believe anything.
Mm-hmm.
No,
redeeming.
I get what you mean. They talked about like how hard it was doing the scene where Bart's chained to the pole, and how it was so hard because they were constantly walking this line of like, you're an asshole father, get the hell out of here. And you're sitting there going, how do you walk the line of being a dick, lovable, and what Homer is, right? And Homer walks that line, and he's always walked that line.
Yeah, it's really hard to do.
Yeah, and how do you...
Speaking as a father?
He's always playing Earthquake with them. Earthquake!
You're like, it's okay, it's only one story.
Okay, kids, get up on the roof. It's time to play Earthquake.
Here we go.
The movie ended with Kang and Kodos pointing out plot holes of the movie.
Oh, yes.
But that became an hour-long segment?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
They're just laughing.
They didn't like it because it was kind of saying like, why did you like this movie?
Right.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay.
Right. They didn't want to. Yeah. Don't point to too many of your flaws.
And I guess there weren't
Probably.
really that many plot holes either, right? It was just dumb plot.
I mean, it's a Simpsons
yeah.
thing, right? They roughly guessed that if of everything that was fully voiced and animated, they have enough for 2 movies.
Wow.
Jesus.
This is Matt Groening about the expectations of the movie.
Listen, I've stood in line for the restroom at Comic-Con every year, and whatever the big movie is, I've heard the real-life versions of Comic Book Guy, so we're prepared for all kinds of reactions. Everybody's got a different idea of the perfect Simpsons experience.
It's just true, and I remember like going to it. I'm like, oh, I'm really excited to see Gil. Gil's not in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has like their idea of what they wanted.
What they
it to
wanted
be,
out of
right?
it.
You know,
Yeah.
I thought that same thing after I got out of the Bob's Burgers movie. I was like, Gail's not in that like, at all.
Oh,
Like,
you're right.
and she's
That
like in
is
the
kind
end
of a
credits, like
bummer.
there's like a dance sequence. Like, oh, and I was like, oh, where was Gail that whole
Yeah.
time? Yeah. So I just thought to myself,
Yeah, I feel like Gail could have made a cameo in there.
right.
The Bob's Burgers movie is way better than the Simpsons movie.
I would
will say
agree.
that.
A major gamble for the movie was the show's ratings. In 1990, they averaged 27 million viewers per episode. But in 2007, it was down to 8 million. So whether or not they actually thought that anybody cared to see the movie.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, in 2022, it's about 2 million people watch per episode.
Oof.
So it is dropped drastically. And just recently, one episode became the first in series history to drop below 1 million.
Whoa.
Jeez.
In the age of streaming, how do they rate that? Is that just when it's released within a day, how many people saw it?
I'm not sure how they factor in that kind
I
of
wonder
stuff.
if they
Because
still
like
just-
if you watched it today,
Yeah.
do they count it? Like
Yeah.
that episode that was 3 months ago,
'Cause
right?
It's not like you have to wait for the rerun. You could watch it 2 days after.
Yeah.
If they only count that first day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder. That is interesting. There might be some weird, like, yes, less people are watching it, but also it might be harder to gauge how many people are watching stuff because you don't have the standard, like, Nielsen ratings, like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
bullshit to lean on.
The Simpsons movie opened July 27th, 2007. Gross.
Just like they promised.
Yeah. Yep.
They did it.
They did it. It grossed 183 million in the United States, 536 million worldwide on a budget of
110.
235 million.
175.
75 million.
Oh.
We were all wrong.
Those animators are really underpaid.
Yeah, see, I pay my animators fair wages, so that's why my movie would have been 235 million.
It is the second highest grossing traditional animated movie of all time. Way below under
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs for inflation.
Cats don't dance.
Lion King.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
no, of course.
Rotten Tomatoes, 87% with critics, 77% with audiences.
Wow.
That feels
Huh.
right.
You seem like so perplexed.
And
no,
zero-
That's way
People
better than I was
like this?
expecting.
What? No.
And 10% of Ryan's.
In 2017, Al Jean and David Silverman said that they had no intention of doing a sequel for the money, because I mean that was a huge hit. It would need to be a big, great idea again for them to consider it. With Disney buying Fox, talks of a sequel movie started again. The last statement about a sequel was in 2021, where Al Jean stated that the talks were delayed because of COVID.
Disney loves money, so I'm not surprised.
Well, I would imagine after dropping below 1 million, Simpsons might not be around. Their contract is like one more season. So. And most recently, like you can actually hear Harry Shearer. He's old.
Oh yeah. We've
in
talked
his
about
80s,
that before. Like
and he sounds old.
Yeah.
You know, I think once The Simpsons does end and there is like an actual end in sight, I think then I will watch the full series just so I can have like a finish line.
Mm-hmm.
When
you're
of 700 episodes.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
When you're 80, when
Yeah.
you're as old as Harry
Yeah.
Shearer, then you can finally say, "I did it. I finished it."
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
I mean, I'm gonna say no because it's a fine movie. Like it's funny, it's got some good moments, but like it's not super memorable. It didn't like, and then The Simpsons continued on for another 15 years after that of like making the show. It didn't like end the series in like this big, nice like way or like wrap it up and be like, here you go, fans. Like you get this great movie to end like this beloved show. It was just kind of like a thing that happened, and then like they kept making the show, and it's kind of like it's just an okay movie, and it feels like it was like a complete pain in the ass to make, and like all that animation that got cut out. Maybe some people got better at improv, but again, as we've established,
Improv animating.
yeah, there you go. So anyway, I would probably say no.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same camp as well. Like I enjoyed it and I liked it and it was fun, and like the hype for it was just really, really fun as well. I remember 2007 just being like super pumped for this movie. Again, because I was a super fan as a kid. But Ray's absolutely right. Like I think I've maybe seen it maybe twice since then, once with my kid because he really wanted to watch it. And if I asked him like, "Oh, you remember the Simpsons movie?" He'd be like, "Nah, I don't remember."
Yeah.
I think it was just kind of like a little Simpsons blip, you know. And I always feel bad for saying no, that it wasn't worth it, because they probably put just so much work into it. And it's clear when we hear all the Ian's research and these whole stories, like, man, they went through a lot of
So
shit
much
for this
stuff, yeah.
And then for us, just be like, no, they wasted their goddamn time, bunch of chumps, you know. So I always feel bad saying no, it wasn't worth it. But again, yeah, it's just not memorable. It would have been so much different if it was Hank Scorpio. Then I would have been like, hell yeah, that was a fucking cool movie.
I agree with that.
There could have been so many things that they could have done, so many different plots that they could have done that would have just made it a better movie going experience. Like as it exists now, it feels more like a really long episode or like a made for TV movie. But there's so many different plots they could have done that would have just made it more cinematic, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I think, ironically, because you were mentioning how it seems like a long episode, it also feels written by someone else.
Yeah,
like how
interesting.
even though it's a bunch of these principal writers, it wasn't the active like TV writing crew, so it kind of feels like, who wrote this? You know,
the hive mind. It went too far.
The hive mind thought too much.
It was just a big circle jerk. They're all just patting themselves in the back. That's so funny. Good job. Good job. Good job. A woman, get her out of here.
Ryan, worth it?
Oh, well, you see, the seed was planted so many years ago for us to have this episode of this podcast that I get to be on. So I think it was totally worth it.
But you didn't like it.
I would maybe watch it again after this, knowing all the stuff you said. I would like to see how disjointed I notice it or feel like all the stuff you said about how much was cut out. That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to watch it again, knowing what went on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and if that
like,
changes your perception of it.
yeah, because I didn't like it. I didn't rate it 87% on Rotten Tomatoes.
below the tomato, there's just a picture of Ryan just like crossing his arms, shaking his head.
I'm kind of shocked. I think it's funny as hell. I think the first half hour of that movie is fucking hysterical. Bart and Homer on the roof, Bart skateboarding. Like I liked all. I was sitting there going. I remember we were gonna start it, and I was like, this is not gonna be as good as I remember. And I really enjoyed it.
I will say that I liked it. So I think this is maybe actually the second time I've ever seen it.
Me too, I think.
Yeah, because we saw it together in theaters.
Maybe.
Yes. And then I think this was the second time we've ever seen it. And I think I liked it better the second time than I did the first time. Because I remember being pretty disappointed the first time I saw it.
I kind of remember being kind of like, the last. But I think the movie doesn't work when it's outside of Springfield. As soon as they get out, they go to the hotel room, they go to Alaska, all of that doesn't work. I don't find it interesting. I don't find it funny. I'm kind of mad that the family, or especially Marge, went with him to this whole nonsense, and I don't think any of that works. But as soon as he goes back, that sequence where he tries to save them in the police wagon, whatever the hell, with the wrecking ball.
Oh, yeah.
That whole sequence is so gold. I can't believe you didn't find that funny.
Between a rock and a hard place?
Yeah, but when he swings in, it goes ding.
Did you hear something? Probably just a moth. I hope it's okay.
and then that long shot of it swinging back towards Homer, and he's just like, oh. And it's just like too long of a moment before it smacks him and just crushes him. And as soon as they get back, I like all this stuff when he gets back.
Look, we can't keep stopping at every stop, yelled, or one V sign. Just move on.
There was one bit that seriously like really shocked me as you know, a 20-something-year-old, and that's when the dome shatters and just impales Dr. Nick. And I was like,
It's amazing no one was hurt. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
I was like, they straight up just killed Dr. Nick.
Yeah.
Like the part where Homer jumps into the sandbox, like, bye, suckers. And he starts flipping them off. And then he uses his middle fingers to dig.
The top of his head is still showing. Claw at it.
And then you see a fucking rake going on the top of his head. I think all of that is so good. Like, I think there's just a huge half hour in there that I don't care for. Yeah. And I think it really dies a little bit in there. But outside of that, I think like that movie pretty much works for me, and I think it was really funny. So I'm kind of surprised I'm the outlier on here.
Well, I do agree with you.
You were laughing quite a bit next to me.
Well, that's what I mean. There are funny jokes in there. I just feel like kind of overall cohesively as a movie, it doesn't work. And I totally agree with you that when they leave Springfield, it's not as good. Like you need like the town is a character. There's a huge cast of like amazing supporting characters on that show that they could lean on. Like when you're just with the family, even though the family's pretty strong characters, like it just wasn't as interesting. No, there are funny jokes in there, and like you said, I grew up with The Simpsons, and so like The Simpsons informed my sense of humor. There's just certain shows that you can point to that say like that informs my sense of humor. That informs my sense of humor. The Simpsons is a huge part of that. So like the individual jokes are funny, but like all together, it's like not a great movie, you know?
And I also agree, like Homer is an asshole in it. Like, and there's parts where you're kind of like, okay, I'll let Homer get away with this one thing, but then this one,
So I think I just must be easily.
Take our yard clippings somewhere
elsewhere.
So I think I just must be easily swayed, because I was gonna be like, oh yeah, I think it was worth it, and then I heard you say give your raise, and I was like, no, Ray's right. Like, no, it wasn't worth it. But
it's really good, Clint.
You know what? You're
join us, Clint.
No,
join the hive mind.
I'm gonna make Ian look good. Improv, right? Because that's what we.
Yes, and.
But no, he's no. But you are right. Like there's jokes in there that are just really funny. But when you put them all together, and I remember watching the movie and thinking to myself like, oh, this whole dome thing over the city is just so far fetched. And I remember like being like really mad about that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm thinking, but this is a cartoon. This is also the same cartoon where Homer went to space, and like that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, exactly, right.
But like this is just a little too much. Like, so I remember just thinking to myself like, trying to like, okay, get over it. It's just a cartoon. But at the same time, I was like, that's just, it just was weird.
Well, it's like what you were saying about like Homer being a jerk. I'm okay with it in 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Not for a whole movie.
For a whole movie, it's like it's a lot. Well, and the whole environmental EPA, was that just because that was just kind of a thing that was happening back then? Because they reference like an inconvenient truth and climate change.
They're
and
all
of
like
that.
staunch environmentalists.
Oh,
actually.
Okay. So that because like for some reason like that device like felt weird to me for The Simpsons. Like it felt almost like it was too serious in a way.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to end on this Matt Groening quote that I thought I read it earlier and I was like, Ryan would thoroughly enjoy this.
Yeah, it starts off
This
right.
is Matt Groening on the popularity of The Simpsons in general.
As a cartoonist, it is beyond most cartoonists' dreams. People go into cartooning because they're shy and angry. That's when you're sitting in the back of class and drawing pictures of the teacher. People would introduce me at parties as the cartoonist, and it was like they felt sorry for me because I'm a cartoonist. Therefore, okay, can you draw me Snoopy or Garfield or something? And now the feeling of success of being asked to draw Bart and Homer is unbelievable after all these years. Look at the design of Homer. Very few lines in that face. There's no human iris. It's just a dot and a circle. All you have to do is change the shape of the circle slightly, and he's the greatest actor of the 21st century. Nice.
I really like that. It's just like, holy shit.
That's amazing.
Like, you can't imagine a greater outcome for a cartoonist. Right?
Yeah.
Speaking of behind the scenes stuff, you, Ryan, have one of my favorite current YouTube series, your self-producing an animated pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Where you talk about like the behind the scenes of producing an animated pilot, and you go into like how you write scenes and how you write jokes and how you developed your characters and how you created your rigs, and they're really, really good and smart and well done. And I love how vulnerable,
well edited,
and really well edited.
Oh, thanks.
And I love how vulnerable you get in them too, where you're just like, holy fuck, you guys, like I just can't, I can't today, like I can't draw anymore, I can't write anymore, like.
Or there's those moments
so
where you have those
good.
realizations. You're like, whoa. Am I getting too real right now?
Like, it's,
did I just have an epiphany? Did I just realize something?
It's such like awesome in the moment behind the scenes creative process that I love, and like I know Ian loves that kind of stuff, and I'm sure fans of Shit Show would love that kind of stuff. So
well, I
anyway,
don't know about this. I thought we were friends, Ryan. What the hell, man? What is this? What are we talking about?
Bro, where have you
Ryan,
been?
Ryan, sell yourself right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
How do
tell us
people
how to
find
find
you?
these videos.
So you can find me almost everywhere at Ryan K. Hudson, like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. And then I have another channel that's on YouTube. It's Ryan K. Hudson BTS. It's the behind the scenes stuff. But that's where you'll find the stuff that Ray's talking about. Because I am self-producing an animated pilot, but I've taken a little break from it to focus on these short animated things that it's what everyone wants to watch right now, are TikToks.
Yeah.
Everyone's copying TikTok.
Oh, the TikTok is so hot right now.
So you're doing a lot of booty shaking on your TikTok?
Yeah.
A lot of dancing.
No, it's a whole bunch of 10 to 15 second animations based on the comics I used to do.
And they're super funny. Sometimes I
thanks.
voice them.
Oh,
I'll just throw that out there. You write songs too. That's the thing that's so cool, is it's like you're writing a pilot, animating all the characters,
Yeah.
voicing a lot of it, and writing original songs for this pilot.
Yeah, so the
Which is
animated
insane.
series is going to be about a songwriter.
Yeah.
And so I've been writing an album to go with the first episode. And that's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
So anyway, if you are interested in animation and likes the behind the scenes stuff, go check out Ryan's stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clint.
Thanks, guys.
I subscribed to both, so you're welcome.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, no problem, man.
And thank you, Ryan, for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Ryan. Bye, Clint.
Yeah, okay.
Buy Clint's underwear.
I'll see you.